Hi everyone, it's Anne back again. Now Kerry has sent me a huge quantity of this absolutely gorgeous embroidered trim, and I'm absolutely in love with it. I've been searching for this stuff for years and I've never been able to find it here in Australia. So I don't know how she's managed to track it down. Obviously she's got it from overseas, but it's just stunning and I love it. So I've been making all sorts of things with it, but one of my favourite things at the moment to make with it are these charms. Like that. And they're just a little piece of the embroidered trim that I've put a pin, a bowl pin, and a little little charm thing on. That's got a little key on, a little dangle. I don't know if you can see that one. Let's find another one. This one might be better to see. There if you can see that one better. Anyway, they're just like little squares, square cushions of the embroidered trim that I've put a bowl pin through and some little kind of dangly thing, and then they can be clipped onto things. One of the things I've clipped them on to are these little notebooks that I made. And I made the books from the actual wider version of the embroidered ribbon, and then I've clipped on in this case just a little bead and the little square charm, and similar here. This one you'll be able to see better. It's got a little puffy cushion, square cushion, and a little bead. And it just finishes off the front of the book, I think. So I would like to show you how I made the charms. Just make some room. Now I'm going to choose one of these trims. Might use this one, I think. And I'm just going to fold it over till it's a square. So it's about however wide it is. I fold it over that amount so it actually looks like a square. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'm going to allow a little bit for a seam. So a square plus another maybe 1/4 of an inch. So I've got about got a ruler here, 1.5 inches actually it is, and the trim is 1.25 inches wide. I'm just going to cut that piece off. I'm going to get a needle and thread. Have I got one that's already threaded? No. I'm going to use double thickness thread, and I'm going to turn it the wrong way out to put the right sides together, and just run a little seam along the raw edges, about 1/4 of an inch in. Okay, I'm going to leave my needle and thread attached and turn it the right way out. So the seam's on the inside and I've got the right side of the fabric now on the outside. I'm just going to make it so that that seam is in the middle, so I don't have the bulk at the edges. And then picking up my thread again, which is in the middle, just going to do a few over stitches. To the end, and then I don't want it to cut my thread off, so I'm going to put my needle in and come up at the middle again like that, and just do the other half. You won't need to do that on the other side because we're going to rejoin the thread. It was only because the thread was already joined in the middle that I'm doing it this way. Okay. And then you don't need to cut it off, actually. You don't need to rejoin it, you can just go up the side and come out the top. But before we stitch that up, I'm going to get a little bit of this wadding. You only need a tiny bit. And just put it inside. Like that. And then sew across the open end. Again, just doing small stitches that go over the edge. And you can tuck any little bits of thread or sticky out stuffing as you go. And then I just take my needle in and come out somewhere else, so that when I cut the thread I can actually leave a long piece on it. Sometimes if you cut them short they tend to poke out, or sometimes they can come unravelled. Alright, so there we have a little puffy square. All that we need to do now is to put a bowl pin on it and a little charm of some sort, a little bead or a kind of a dangle or something, and we've made a charm. Now the other thing I've used them for is I made some of these dangles. As you can see here, I've used several of them in this dangle. And in this one I put some beads on the bottom. Again with this one, that was something of a piece of broken jewellery. And just a few pearls on this one. So they're a nice addition to a dangle. Well, I think so. I love them how they bring some different elements into it. Put another one here that I did. This one's more pink. And again I've used the embroidered trim just to make these little cushions. Okay. Now I wanted to make one that wasn't square. I wanted a round one. So I fiddled and faddled around and came up with this idea. And there we have a round one made of the same stuff, the embroidered trim, and I've just stitched a ring onto the top ready for putting it through you know, a piece of lace or a piece of ribbon. Let me see. So it would hang like that. And I'd like to show you how I made them round. So I've got some more of this trim. And I'm going to use a piece of cardboard and my punch. Doesn't matter what size punch you use. Whatever size punch you use is the size of you will get circles for the charm. So your charm will end up being the same size as your punch. Just going to cut out two bits of card, and holding the piece of card on the fabric, I need to have about between 1/4 and 1/2 inch all the way around it. So I'm just going to hold it on with my thumb and then cut around approximately. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Just going to cut a border all around the edge like that. Okay, I need my needle and thread again. I'm going to do a little running stitch, just a tiny weeny bit in from the edge. If you can see how far I am in from the edge there, but it's just a few millimeters, just enough so that my thread is secure and it's not going to rip out. Go all the way around. Then when I get back to the beginning, I'm going to grab a bit of this wadding, like that, roll it into a ball, pop that in the middle, put my cardboard circle on top, and then pull the thread so that the stitches gather up all around the edge of the card. You see that? Once I've got it gathered up, just hold it firmly and put a couple of stitches in to stop it from coming undone. And then you can snip it off. So I've got this little round piece of card that's covered with the embroidered trim, and there's a piece of cotton wool underneath the cardboard. And we're going to do exactly the same thing again. So now I've got two, like that. I'm going to put them together and go all the way around the edge, just grabbing a little bit from one and a little bit from the other, and sewing the two together, pulling the thread tight as I go. Okay, back to the beginning. Oops, trying to run away on me. So there we have the two stuck together to make one little circular dangle. Before you cut the thread off, if you're going to use a ring like that so that you can dangle it from lace or seam binding or whatever, just pop that on now. I go through it a few times because thread has a way of finding its way out through where your ring is joined together, because usually a tiny gap in it, no matter how much you squeeze them together, you still end up with a tiny gap, and thread will quite often find its way out there. So I go through many times so it's nice and thick, and I also hold the ring and wrap it round like that, which tends to keep it tight and in one place. Okay, we're done. Go in and come out somewhere else. Cut the thread. Right, so there we've got one the same as that. And they're ready now to be put onto one of these sort of dangles, or just on their own, on the end of something hanging from your journal. I'm sure you could find lots of ways to use them. But I just think they break up the lace and the ribbon and the other things I've got hanging there, and I just love the way they look hanging off the spine of a journal or from the bottom. Anyway, that's the way I do the rectangular ones and the circular ones. Now, just before I go, as I say, I've been having fun playing with this new embroidered ribbon, embroidered trim, and I've discovered something else to do with it that is actually game changing. I was just on a high when I tried it and it worked. It's an amazing thing, and like all good videos, I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger because I'm not going to tell you what it is. But as I say, it's a game changer, and I think you'll be quite surprised with something that I've come up with for this type of embroidered trim. So, because I'm a big tease, I'm going to leave it there, and I hope that you'll come back and watch my next video where I'll be showing you what I've come up with. So, have fun making these for now, and stay tuned. Hope to see you next time. Thanks a lot for watching me today. Bye for now.